And you know what it really comes down to, though? I'm gonna really freak you out. It comes down to, and I'm not trying to sound morbid in any way. Like, please don't neglect your health. But it comes down to this extreme fear of death that we have.
Yeah.
We spend so much to stay alive. Like literally, I was thinking about this, Vince. I was sitting here and I was thinking about stocks and investments. I was like, I spend so much time trying to save and invest where I'll have a certain amount one time I foresee, hopefully, if I get there, and I'll probably be old. And when I'm old, I'm gonna have this amount, and I'm like, why the fuck do I have this amount? And I'm like, what do I do? I'm gonna die in like 10 years. Right. So then do I say I have peace to give this to my family so they can do shit with it that I'm not gonna see? You get where I'm going with this? So
Nah, man.
I started really
What,
thinking about like what am I like what are we to get what I mean? Like what are we really doing, man? What are we really doing? That's what I'm saying.
man, I flew with a buddy of mine out to we flew out to Seattle and then drove to the coast from Seattle because we were burying his dad.
Oh wow.
And,
Sorry to hear that.
right, and this was when I was heavy in the car business. Like heavy, like I
I
was
remember
actually
that.
starting to put on.
I remember that.
Yeah.
You went
Oh, I try not to say people's names and put
sorry.
them on like that, but
Sorry.
yeah.
Oh. Hey, just hey, edit that. Edit that name out for me.
I try not to put people out like that. But
Hey,
no, so
edit.
so
Hey,
we fly out
when you
here.
do this, just edit it. Get a little like a blurb. Just
Yeah.
cut it.
Beep.
Okay. Yeah. Hold on. What
Yeah,
time?
so
What's the time record? We can cut back in, and then you can do like music.
it
That'll
was
be
like
funny.
53
That'd
minutes.
be
It was
great.
53 minutes.
And then
It's
put some
fine.
holding music, like holding. Please hold.
Yeah. Cool. No, so we fly out here because we're burying his dad's ashes in his hometown.
Okay.
Uh, and so when we drive out, we finally get to the coast. Now, his dad was also a really big car guy.
Okay.
Like, he was only like in his mid 50s and he died of a heart attack, which if you're in your mid 50s and you die from a heart attack,
It's
it's because
young.
you're working too hard.
Right. You're
You just
stressed.
spent your whole life stressed.
Hmm.
And so we get out here, and this was me like just really hitting it with car sales. I was making money.
Hmm.
And then I fly out there, I get to the West Coast, I'm looking at the sunset over the ocean, and I just start to freaking cry like a baby. I'm just sitting with in the hatch of this this Volvo. We had the hatch open, and I'm just sitting there, I'm freaking crying.
Yeah.
And he looks at me, he's
Spiritual
like, dude,
experience.
are right. He looks at me, he's like, dude, are what's wrong, man? Are you okay? And I'm like, man, I thought that this was going to be one of those things I just tried to cram into the very end. And so we're sitting here with his dad's ashes between us. This dude who was going to work his whole life and then retire young, which was my plan.
Right.
And I'm like, dude, I got to get out.
I
Like,
can't
I
do
was like,
this.
I can't.
I
I
can't
came
do this.
back from that trip. I don't think I sold another car. like, I don't,
Damn.
when I came,
That's deep.
yeah, I was so ready to be done with the car business as soon in that moment I knew I was done.
You got
And then I got back and gave him an ultimatum. I was like, "You either put me in finance or I should probably find something else to do." And then a week later they're like, "Okay, yeah, we'll put you in finance." I
And
was like,
then you fucking end up with me.
"Yeah,
Back with me. Oh, crazy
yeah,
man. That's funny. No,
yeah, it was
man,
wild, man."
that's a deep story. That's a deep. I didn't
Yeah.
do that. Wow.
Yeah, I'll never forget that. That is sitting in the back of that car. God, like I was crying, like I was trying so hard. As soon as he looked at me, he's like, "Are you okay?" And then it really started going, man. It was bad.
Let's stay here. Let's stay here. So I got a question for you. So that experience, because you and I know I guess we have different takes on spirituality and stuff like that. But that moment, that's what I want to talk about. The moment when
Mm.
you had the rush and it made you cry, and the beauty of life, nature, something that tap into that moment. What did you feel in that moment? What made you cry?
It was going back to the mortality thing, going back to the fear of death, because I'm thinking I'm gonna just work, and skip everything so I can work. And then in the very end, all I'm gonna have is all this time. But then realizing like that time isn't promised to you, like you can just accidentally fuck around and lose it,
Hmm.
like the man whose ashes are sitting right next to me.
Right.
And I just felt like I'd already missed so much. Like
Right.
even just the little things and not spending as much time as I should with my family or with my sister
Right.
or yeah, and I just remember feeling like like I was already out of time. Like I had already robbed myself, and now I
Yeah.
had to like, and I there was no getting it back. I just had to change everything right there.
That you need to, man. That's powerful. You got me over here. I'm about to water. No, I'm just kidding. But no, seriously, that's that I think that's a life changing story, man. I think more people need to hear that. All jokes aside, because that's pretty that's deep, man. Because and it goes. I didn't know that, and it goes hand in hand with what I was saying before about the existential crisis that's going on right now. And I think that's what it is. It's like that moment changed you and made you feel something. So like the reason we're having this conversation and the reason you want to have conversations for people is because I don't care how you say it or what you want to call yourself, is that you care about people. So you do this because you don't do this for yourself. You know what I mean? You're not like interviewing people and trying to connect with people just for yourself. No, you're reaching out to people because you have a care, you have an empathy. There's an amount of empathy that you have that makes you care to speak on these things. And that's what I'm trying to say. There's a lack of that where people don't care, if that makes sense. And I'll give you an example, a quick one. I had an ex that was extremely heartless. No names, right? This person was a complete narcissist. And I realized, I was like, why is that attractive, right? That personality. Well, that personality is very driven, right? They're very ambitious, can't tell them shit. We've worked with a lot of people like that in our business. And it's like,
Yeah.
but that person's admiring. They just like are spontaneous. They'll do new things. They, you know what I mean? You can't tell them shit. And there's something we really like about that. You know what I mean? But then at the other end, they have no care about people. Like they really don't care about. They have zero empathy, no level of people. So they're kind of like searching for like they're never happy. So they go like person to they just search. So they're never really happy. And I think that's the same thing going on with us in a mass scale. It's like we have so much information, so we feel like we're enlightened by our information, but we're not really enlightened, if that makes sense. So we're like, we have all this info, so we're God now. You know what I mean? Or, whatever you want to call the whatever created this shit, right? So I'm that. I now know I'm all knowing. I'm an all knowing being. I'm no longer sentient. I'm just all knowing. Now what? And I think that's where the crisis is. So when people have that moment like you had, that's what changes people. People need more of those moments. And I think this is making people have those moments. I think
I sure hope so, because I feel like, man, people
me
get
too.
so distracted. The
Yeah.
people that they can't just go and enjoy something. They got to take a million pictures so they can post it on Instagram.
Yeah.
And like those, I feel like hopefully those people, they have a little bit of time where they're just in their house. They're like, what am I going to take a picture of this banana and put it
Right.
on Instagram? And like all of a sudden they're like, wait a minute, my life is finite and it has meaning,
Yeah.
and I'm squandering that for something that's completely meaningless.
You're on it. That's gold.
Yeah.
That's exactly what that this conversation, like, just literally, that's exactly what I'm hitting on. That's exactly it.
Mhm.
And I believe that no matter what, this is making you go through that. And if you don't go through that, then you might not make it the next the next chapter.
Yeah.
I don't think you're
Yeah,
going to make it.
you're
Like,
not gonna make it through you're not gonna make it through quarantine, much
no,
less
no, because this era is changing, and it's like you can't be, like I said, that person, that non-empathetic person. I'm not trying to sound soft or lovey-dovey, but you're not going to make it in the next era without empathy. That whole like I gotta get it now. Rich, I gotta get balling, balling, balling. That shit is dead because I don't. All the people that are supposedly balling aren't making money right now. So it's like fuck, there's no such thing as balling. You get what I mean? Like you can't. No material is gonna make you happy. I don't even like. I can't even listen to rap right now. I'm like, I don't want to hear this shit talking about mansions and hell. I don't want all that shit.
Oh, dude,
I
I
don't want to
stopped
hear about
listening to rap a
relationships.
while ago because of that.
Yeah, I want to
I
hear
think
about.
your rap is like the only rap I listen to. Yours and Chance the Rapper.
Well, and thank you so much, man. But they did that to us on purpose, though. You already know that. I don't want to get into that,
Yeah.
but yeah, man. So it's like I don't want to hear that shit. And I think people. I know heartless people. As I think about people, I'm like, man, I wonder if they changed people in the past. But it's like, you know what? Fuck them. If they changed, I hope they did. If not, that's to each. That's their loss. Because if anything, you got to be getting more empathetic right now. You got to be thinking about the relationships that are most important to you. You got to be thinking about what's most important to you, the relationship with self, and then the rest you just go from there. But if you're not thinking about that, then you're clicked into the news and you're lost. Like you're completely lost. Because people are
Yeah.
not going to care about the same shit coming out of this. I'm telling you. Like shit is about to change. People are going to get used to not watching sports. You know what I
I
mean? Like,
I really hope you're right, and it's probably just the cynic in me that just thinks that like all like when this is over, that same again the Instagram person with the banana. I feel like as soon as this is over, they're gonna go to the beach and they're not going to watch the sunset over the ocean so they can cry.
No.
Instead, they're going to pull out their phone and they're going to take a picture of the sunset over the ocean with hashtag wish you were here or
Now,
whatever.
remember what we said though is that they're not. We're not. It's not going to be. It's not absolute. I'm not speaking in absolutes. It's going to be some, right? It's going to be some that are going to wake up, right, and having it. Like for instance, you and I probably wouldn't even be having this conversation right now if it wasn't for this. You get what I
That's
mean? Right?
very true.
I just
Yeah.
FaceTimed a good friend in I'll name drop Too Tall. Let's FaceTimed him out in LA. See where I'm going? Like you connect with the
Oh,
people
damn.
that
They're on hard lockdown out there, aren't they?
so they say. I don't want to get anybody in trouble. But so
Ah,
going into that, when you see the connections and the people that have standing out, like the people that are realized beings, I guess I want to say, they're going to change. They're going to be very important in the next wave because people are going to look to people that still can feel. They're going to be like, damn, how did they? What do you have? What do you know that we don't know? Oh, in the old age, people cared about shit. You know what
that's
I
a
mean?
good point. There might be enough people who wake up that there's a network of people who are woken up
That's my hope. I
that can
hope. I
hopefully
hope it's the
gravitate
people. I
some
hope
of
it's
those Instagram influencers in.
Yeah, I hope it's the people like us who get unplugged out of situations like the car industry. Because now, once again, I'm unplugged again. You see what I mean? Like, I've like reached a level of just peace inside. So I'm looking at that, and I'm like, maybe it's like it was never meant for us to be plugged into those situations. If you catch my drift.
Perhaps that would make sense, and it takes people kind of underestimate. It takes a pretty empathetic kind of person to be able to be an effective salesman.
Hell yeah, that's
And
why we try to numb ourselves out all the time.
right,
We gave so much of ourselves, there's none left. So we're like, we just want to feel. So after,
yeah,
I don't want to get into
you
that.
see a lot of drugging and drinking in the car
Yeah, I didn't
business
want to
for
go
some.
that way. I was going that way. I
Yeah,
was like, man, it's a cry for help. Car sales is a cry for help because you're a misfit in society. You know, you have the personality, you have the most valuable personality type in society by far. You're by far, but and that's why you make what the professionals make, right? With all the
hmm
accredited people make. But then you're still a misfit, so because you're not a drug dealer, but you have the same type of creative avenues. I don't want to say schemes, but you have the same kind of creative ways to do business, but then you're stuck. So you're caught in this flux world. And it's like either that or
right.
real estate, you know what I mean? It's the same
And then
shit.
real professionals don't respect you at all.
Exactly.
Like,
And we
like
don't respect
yeah,
them because we're like, you just wasted a bunch of fucking time to get where I'm at. You know, that's why they made highways in America. So did you
right.
see that?
And
So
they
you're
look
like,
at you as making shortcuts.
yep, yep. You're like, no, I just paid tolls. That's all. So when you look at
Yeah.
that aspect, it's like, yeah, you cannot undermine the amount of empathy. And then the scary part is the amount of empathy that I've seen people lose. I've seen some really good individuals and good-hearted people lose, and I'm speaking for myself first and
Oh,
foremost.
I can yeah, I could definitely say the same is true for me because by the time I was ready to quit the car business, I wasn't worried about anybody but me.
No, you fuck the world, right? Exactly.
Right.
People are heartless. People suck. They get what's coming to them. It's not my fault they got screwed. You know what I mean? That's the mentality you take on, and then you try to take it on that next day and be like, oh, they're nice. You know, people. Let me give it another chance, and then you meet some kind of douchebag, and you're like, nah, fuck it, fuck them all, right? And that's how we all feel. That's the worker at McDonald's. All these essential workers that they got them out there, like, hey, fuck y'all, we need y'all, but go out there and get sick. So you got them out there working. It's just like everybody's going through this shit. So that's I do hope, man. I hope we come out of it with the different mind state of it all, and we do have some level of care. That's the only thing that's going to get us through. I'm telling you, is empathy. That is the only. That's the magic weapon. Is empathy.
Yeah, I guess we'll see how this all goes. I think I hope that you're right. I hope that the optimism is well placed that after this is all over, people are a little bit more awake and a little bit more aware and a little bit more plugged into the moment instead of plugged into their freaking phones.
Right. Well, and remember this too. I mean, to any listeners too. No matter what, let's not forget, we're all gonna die. That's,
100%, 100% of us.
so, you know what I mean? So, I mean, either do that or live. Just pick one. What
Yeah.
do you want to do? What do you want to
That's
do?
probably the best place to leave it. I
Yep.
feel like yeah, we should stick the landing and call it right there. All right, but well, I really appreciate you
Oh,
injecting some life into the podcast.
for sure,
Uh,
man.
Yeah, we should definitely do this again soon. I got a lot of free time. You got some free time.
Yeah,
We
edit it down, man. People need to hear this. And remember, 53 minutes is where.
I'm probably just gonna like start it right there. We just start on that really nice story that I told.
Ooh, ooh, I like that though, man. That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
All
All right,
right,
man.
buddy. Well,
That was a
we'll
good
do this
talk, man. I
again
enjoyed
soon.
that.
Yeah,
All
that
right,
was
man.
good.
All right, man. I'll
All right,
let you
later,
go.
bud.
Peace.
Peace.
All right.